Welcome to Let's Be Better. We believe that our greatest responsibility as a society is to give every child the nurturing guidance they deserve. When moms, dads, all of us show up with our best, children can thrive. This mission was born from a hard truth. Too often, systems meant to protect families end up dividing them. But this podcast isn't about what's broken. It's about who we can become. It's about grace for ourselves and for each other. It's about reclaiming what truly matters. It's about faith, the belief that even in a complicated world, ordinary people can come together and create extraordinary change. Let's be better. Let's live inspired. Let's break cycles, build bridges, and raise the next generation with love, intentionality, and purpose. Today, we're kicking off our very first episode with someone who embodies what this movement is all about. We're sitting down with Jimmy Murray, entrepreneur, real estate investor, and proud Rhode Island native, whose story is a testament to betting on yourself. Jimmy walked away from a secure career at Fidelity Investments to build Lyon Property Group, and he never looked back. He stepped out in faith, embraced the unknown, and turned vision into impact, not just in business, but in the lives of the people around him. What makes Jimmy's voice especially important today is his heart for families. He serves as a director on the board of Mothers and Fathers Truly Matter. Jimmy believes, as we do, that strong families are the foundation of a strong society, and that every child deserves two parents who show up. Jimmy is not just here to talk success. He's here to talk about the responsibility we all share to become better for the next generation. Jimmy, welcome to Let's Be Better. We're honored to have you.
This is legit.
Feels good, right?
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Thanks for coming on, Jim.
I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, Jim, God first, family first.
Amen.
Amen. You're the type of guy that always does the right thing. I know we work together with my company, Pride Exteriors Corp, and you with Lyon Property Group. For about almost 10 years now, we're working together.
Dude, isn't it amazing how fast it goes? Like, they talk about children, but I feel like businesses are very similar.
The days are slow, but the years are fast.
There's so I have a woman on my team. Her name is Jess, and she has all one-liners, and that's one of her one-liners.
That's a good one.
She's like, what doesn't happen in a day, or what doesn't happen in a year happens in a day.
Yep.
Similar, very similar.
So, yeah. So you're actually on the board with us at Mothers and Fathers Truly Matter, too.
Yes, sir. Honored to receive that invite.
Yeah, it's a privilege to have you. The leadership that you bring on that particular organization, this organization is actually, this podcast is funded by Mothers and Fathers Truly Matter. So thank you. Tell us a little bit more about what got you on that.
Yeah, so honestly, I reached a point in my life where, you know, I realized what a privilege it was to have access to seeing my son and being a part of his life, and also realized how pivotal it is for children to have access to their parents. So I went through a period in my son's life where I didn't have access to him, and I was consistently...
And he didn't have access to you.
Correct. Where, consistently battling egregious claims, fake restraining orders, fake criminal charges, and having to muddle through that while operating a business, still showing up as a father. And that's what got me passionate about this cause.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, like, showing up appropriately for my son to help guide him on his journey while he's here.
Amen. Amen. Well, wanted to bring you in. So we're going to have 3 genres of show. There's going to be commitment to self-improvement, commitment to being the best parent we can be, and our commitment to faith. Mm-hmm. And I know I could probably have you on for any of them 3, but we're going to talk about self-improvement today.
I love it. I'm here for that.
So there's three things I'd like to jump into. Mm-hmm. One being risk. Sure. So I know you were actually at Fidelity for a number of years in the earlier part of your career.
That's right.
And then you made the jump to entrepreneurship.
So tell us a little bit about that journey, some of the risks that you looked at and decided weren't too high of a hurdle to get into.
Yeah, honestly. So I think the biggest thing where I like to start this story is when I was in 6th grade, our English teacher, or I guess it was called language arts, our English teacher had us write a letter to ourselves from when we graduated high school. And the first three, I opened my letter with 3 questions. What college are you going to play baseball at? What stocks do you own? And how many pieces of real estate do you own? Which is kind of crazy. Like 6th grade self has asked me, like, what do you own for real estate?
That's
Does
pretty
not
cool.
know a high school student, does
Right.
not own real estate. But with that, my dad always raised me to read books and go to school because he was a union carpenter. He's like, listen, I'm going to be old and tired when I'm done with this and probably have a couple bucks to live on the rest of my life. He's like, don't follow my footsteps. And then literally like graduate from college. And I didn't win the birth lottery, so I came out in debt. And I realized, I had a decent salary, but realized it just wasn't the way. And I still, had that letter in the back of my mind of, well, I've always wanted to invest in real estate. And truthfully, it was the best time to do so in the market.
Right,
I didn't
right.
know this then.
Yeah.
I mean, my first 4-family I bought for $140,000, which is crazy. And
And
this
this is Massachusetts, Rhode Island?
is Rhode Island in Pawtucket.
Yeah,
So
but-
not too far from where we're recording this.
Right.
And I can remember my dad, he told me, and this is the risk, right? It's not just kind of the financial risk, but also like the risk of opinions of others. And that's one of the big things that you have to put aside because you got to do it for you.
Yeah.
Because I close on that, and I've always looked up to my dad my entire life, and he had said, hey, you just made the biggest mistake you ever made in your entire life. And I was like, what?
Right.
It's because it was something that he'd failed at. But I made the decision I was going to put in the work, and I was just going to figure it out. Right? That's what entrepreneurs do. We don't know. Many of the people ask me today, they're like, well, how did you do that? I don't know. I just figured it out.
Right.
Call Bobby or another entrepreneurial friend or go on YouTube or listen to a podcast like we're recording now and just figure it out from there.
Right. Absolutely. And it's funny that we'll segue pretty quickly into the next topic because while risk is important, it's a little difficult to even talk about risk without talking about failure.
Yeah.
And I'd like to share a quote about failure that I was at an auction once, and I saw this framed picture of John F. Kennedy, and he says, "Only those who dare to fail miserably can achieve greatly." And for a young boy, failure hurts. It hurts as an adult. We can only step up and learn. It's falsely attributed to Nelson Mandela, but he says, I never lose. I win or I learn.
You know what? That's such a great perspective. There's a book that I've read a while back because we have all these books behind us. And it was so cool coming in here because honestly, I've read a lot of these books and I have them in my library too. So that was like such a cool moment for me. One of the books it's actually called Mindset by Carol Dweck. And it talks about the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. And it's exactly like you talk about. Where someone with a fixed mindset, they try something one time and they fail and they're all set. Right? They don't want to try it again. Versus someone with a growth mindset who goes on to achieve great things, approaches it as, hey, I fail and I learn from that because it's a product of my journey.
Absolutely. I failed miserably, repeatedly. And some of the greatest and most successful people across human history have failed repeatedly and over and over and over and over again. And they didn't look at it as like a stumbling block, but just maybe a building block. A stepping stone to say, all right, let me learn from that, try again, more intelligently this time, hopefully, right?
Hopefully, fingers crossed, right?
And failure can be not even due to your own doing. You might have the wrong business at the wrong time, or you think that your business is going to be a long-term business when realistically you're going to ride a fad. And
like yo-yos were big when we were kids at one point.
Yeah.
And everybody had yo-yos, and then we would go to like Emerald Square Mall and buy the next yo-yo, but
So
then it kind of went out again.
Get on the front of that, be successful. Get on the tail end, lose a fortune.
Yeah.
So this is intricate in being an entrepreneur. Is you get lucky. You got to get lucky, right? But they say that I think it's I want to say it's Shakespeare, but luck is the residue of design.
Oh, I like that.
Isn't that a good one?
I haven't heard that one. That's a new one. That's
No,
good.
It's actually old Shakespeare.
That's amazing. No, that's really good.
So I have this graph. If you want to take a look,
Yeah.
we'll put it up on the screen here.
Leading social psychologists Thomas Gilovich and Victoria Medvec conducted extensive research on their paper, The Experience of Regret, the What, the When, and the Why. Let's look at these results. In the immediate aftermath of a decision, people regret what they did do only slightly more than what they didn't do, regretting actions 53% of the time and inaction 47%. In the long term, and this is powerful, as we look back at our lives, when people are asked about their biggest regret, 84% of us most regret not what we did do, but what we didn't do. 84% of us most regret what we did not do.
It's like, it reminds me of that story, well, the parable of being at your deathbed and the ghosts of what could have been are around you saying, what did you do with that opportunity? You didn't do it.
Do you think that that's because they now know the outcome of the inaction?
Yes. Yes, because they didn't take action, so they're sitting there and they have
Right, so long term, there's more regret because they now know what the outcome could have been.
Could have been. Probably should have been. But now the sand in that hourglass is trickled away or is fast trickling away.
Yeah.
And they look back at their life and they're like, wow, 84% of people regret what they didn't do. I mean, risk and failure, I say roll the dice.
Yeah.
Intelligently.
You know what? It's a lot easier said than done because we live in this culture today that it's like you put up the Instagram post, you make $1 million overnight, and that's just not how it happens.
No.
And it's the failure, consistent action coupled with failure over a long period of time that leads to the results and the successes. But that's not the culture. I guess that's not like the what we've created in our culture. We think that it's very fast and happens quickly.
Yeah, and everything you see on the internet, you're bombarded with visuals of good-looking people doing expensive things in beautiful places. And the reality is life's hard work. And if you want to achieve those things, there's no such thing as overnight success, not in the real world.
No, and I mean, like if we go back to our faith, like you've got to surrender to the process. These things take time.
Yeah.
It's not handed to you. You have to earn it.
Right.
Through discipline and struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I think, where being grounded in our faith for all of us, if you have faith, if you have that blessing, if you have that privilege, you're able to look at everything through an eternal lens. And you're not going to get down on yourself when you don't win. And you're not going to get too big of a head about yourself if you win all the time.
Right.
And that kind of brings us into the real meat of what I'd like to jump into today is complacency.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, there's another quote. Love this one. 1910 this was written, but the principle is so powerful. Rudyard Kipling's poem, If you could meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same, how beautiful is that?
Right.
I mean, if we win and you get a big head
Mm-hmm.
and you start being lazy, well, don't be surprised if it starts unraveling, right?
Dude, I think about Conor McGregor has a quote that's similar, and he's like, a lot of these fighters, they sleep on a win and they wind up with a loss, right? They win and they start to get complacent. Yeah. But truthfully, and actually that makes me think of like a Mike Tyson quote. And he said it to one of the major heavyweight fighters. And he's like, hey, when you walk into that ring, you're God's favorite and you're the devil's favorite at the same time. But when you walk out, you get to decide whose side you're on. Who are you going to leave with?
Right.
Right? You're both of their favorites. It's the same thing here, right? So whether you walk out with a win or a loss, triumph or disaster, well, who are you going to ride with?
Right.
Because you can lose and then you get to decide to get back on that train.
And that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's totally okay
Makes
to
your
lose.
story a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work on that right now with a few things. And that's okay.
Same, dude. Same.
I mean, and Jordan Peterson, he says, we were designed to walk upright. Uphill, upright, and into the challenge. Don't run from it.
Right. And I honestly, like one of my favorite quotes or one of my favorite stories, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but it's the story of bison and what bison do. Are you familiar with this?
I am.
Yeah. So you hear about cows and storms, and in a pasture, the cows are going to move away from the storm.
Yeah.
Not move. That was not intentional.
I see what you did
That
there.
was completely subconscious. But they're going to circle, and they're going to get super tired, and they're actually going to spend more time inside the storm versus the bison. Their motto is into the storm, and they're going to get through it very quickly, and it's going to be done very fast.
Right.
And if you can live life that way of like, hey, I'm going to go head first into the storm. I'm going to handle it as best as I can. You're going to learn at a much faster pace. And the pain, it's still going to hurt, but hopefully it's not as bad and not as prolonged as it could have been.
For sure. Fail fast, right?
And that goes back to the complacency, right? So you had sent me the message today talking about complacency. Complacency is, in my mind, procrastination. And procrastination is a form of depression. You're just putting off the inevitable.
Right.
Like, it's something that you know you have to do. If you just accomplish it, most of the time, people put off this really large task, and they realize that it was actually very small to begin with. It wasn't as large as they thought.
A lot of folks say that one of the most intelligent ways you can manage your schedule is to put that gargantuan task on the front. Make that first.
Mm-hmm.
That way you can attack it a bit, understand the elephant a little bit more, take a couple bites, and then you'll either knock through it quicker than you thought, to your point, or you'll be a little bit better for it for the next time you attack that thing.
Yeah, I mean, my coach, Cody Sanchez, what she talks about all the time, she's like, if you have a frog to eat the frog first thing in the morning. And if you have 2 frogs to eat the big hairy one first.
Right. That's great. That's pretty good.
That's something I always think about. I'm like, all right, here's the big hairy one. Let's choke this thing down and get on to the next two.
Or else by 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon, you're looking at this daunting task, and I'm pushing that till tomorrow, and then you don't get the thing done.
Yeah, and there's your complacency.
Right.
Oh, I can get that done tomorrow. No, let's get it done today.
Right. Or especially in American culture, 3-4 o'clock, you're looking for a beer. You're looking to smoke marijuana.
Yep.
You're looking for that release. This
the
myth.
reward. And honestly, I found myself there at one point when I was going through all my trials and tribulations. I'm like,
I could have wrote the book on it.
I made it through the day. Let me have a drink.
Right.
Let me get there.
Yeah.
And now, like, I've leveraged certain tools and programs in my life to move past that in order to reprogram the habits to lead by example. And that took a lot of pain to figure that out.
So risk, failure, complacency. American playwright T.S. Eliot said, "Only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go."
I think it's just showing up every day and playing the game.
Yep.
Right? We talk about risk, and it doesn't have to be a massive risk every day. These can be like short or small bets.
Right.
Small risk. And gain an appetite to increase your level of risk.
Right.
It's not like you're going to bet the farm every day.
Yeah, start small.
Right. Maybe you bet 1 horse on the farm each day.
Right.
You get to make the choice, or goat, chicken, I don't know.
Right.
Start small.
Yeah. And that way, if you do lose, you're still okay.
Yeah.
And you're going to be all right either way, too.
And
that's the other thing.
Failure's not fatal. I know that's super cliche to say, but failure is not fatal.
Fail.
I mean, like, when I started going through all the things in my life, I truly, like, had my life set up. Like, talk about financial independence. I had it. I had $1 million worth of real estate at, 25, 26 years old in terms of what I had control. I had about a 30% equity position, and all my bills were paid for. I didn't pay a mortgage my entire life. And that's when I was able to quit my corporate job. But a lot of people probably wouldn't have put in the work to get there. And they would have thought that was a very big risk. But I mean, I took, a 75 to 80% pay cut when I quit my corporate job to chase my dream, where I had not only financial independence because I had set myself up, but also now I had time freedom.
Yeah, and talk about that, actually. The difference between the box, where you got in your box, and you drove to the box to work in your cubicle, and then you got back in your box to then you get to live your life.
Yeah, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But just for me, that's not how I was wired.
Right.
I mean, like, I was told I was there from 7 a.m. till 6 p.m. and I went to the gym at lunch. They said, hey, the gym's for before or after work.
Really?
Yeah, like, wild. And of course, like, I grew up with parents who are W-2 union workers, and like, what do you mean you don't get 2 15s in a lunch? I was right. It's just not how it is.
Yeah, and you're 100% right. My father was a postman. I've had times where I've gotten plugged into that 9 to 5. You have to at some point to learn a few skills. And
now we just work at 24/7.
Yeah, exactly. No, not to knock that at all, because that is a privilege as well to even be able to work.
Oh yeah.
But it's when you're an entrepreneur and you know that's what's in your bloodstream.
Yep.
And you know that you want to do something, like you wrote it down when you were in 6th grade.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Live that. And
yeah,
how much more vitality though when you live like that?
Yeah, I mean, I just live it, right? It's like a lot of people talk about diets in terms of like losing weight, right? But truthfully, like, if you want to be successful, it's how you live it, right? How do you reprogram your habits of eating a certain way or drinking a certain way in order to truthfully live it, and not just live it a short period of time, because that's your diet. Right. But it's no different in terms of how you live your life as well. Right.
And it starts, at least in my journey, with my relationship with God, my relationship with my family. And from there, everything is just like an added bonus to an already complete life.
Absolutely. Yeah, honestly, like, my biggest thing is, like, I had to get my health right. Not that my health was awful, but I always talk about you have to be selfish first in order to be selfless. So you got to take care of yourself first before you can
Yes.
take care of your family. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, how long are you going to be able to truly take care of your family?
I couldn't agree with you more.
And I know it sounds so cliche, but I can show up so much better for all of my children and for Katie. Like, I can show up so much better because I'm taking care of myself.
100%.
I can be more present, aware. I can go for longer, right? How much my attention do you need? How much do you need? And because I set my life up in such a way, I now have the time freedom to move things. If I have to show up for my kids'
Now,
baseball game at 3 in the afternoon.
And you know I love you,
Mhm.
so don't take this the wrong way. But does Katie really want Jim 100% of the time?
No,
or does,
bro.
or does she want you at 100% for the time that makes sense for you two?
Yo, I love this, right? So one, if you are with anyone, you should both take the love languages test to understand what the other person's love languages are. And just, you don't have to have the same love languages, but you need to be able to speak each other's love language.
Yeah.
But truthfully, I talk about this a lot, and I don't believe in balance. In today's society, they have this ideology called balance, where they're like, well, every day at 6 a.m., you're going to wake up, then you're going to put your face in a bowl of ice water for 3 minutes, and then you're going to have your cucumber smoothie, and then rub avocados on your skin, whatever it may be, right?
Right.
And you're going to do the same thing at the same time every single day. And I think that's BS. I think it's a joke. You have to live in alignment. So if you said, Jim, you can only work 8 hours a day, and it's going to be from 8 to 4 every day, and that's it, and that's a balanced life, that would be awful for me.
Oh, yeah.
But instead, like, dude, I enjoy working. So honestly, one of the things that I really like to do is I will go home and I will have dinner. So I spoke to a group last week locally, and I went home for 90 minutes. I had dinner. I prayed the rosary with my family, and then I went back. And honestly, like, I felt whole, and I was able to bring so much energy to that conversation because that's the alignment that I was looking for. Now, honestly, I worked 12 hours that day, but that 90 minutes I get to go home with my family and pray, I was whole.
You left dinner and you were jacked up.
Right. I was ready to go.
Right.
So, like, that's a level of alignment. It's not necessarily having to do the same thing at the same time for the same amount of time every single day, but how do you build that alignment into your life that these are the important things that I get to do every day?
I love that. Not balance, but alignment. It's
Right.
funny you say that. When my first class at Babson College, this was 2013, I had a J.B. Kasarjan. He actually was 90-something years old. He was
Whoa.
speaking with a voice box, and I'm like, what is this? Ends up he was probably my favorite professor out of the whole experience. He said, this balance stuff they're telling you about, and I'd do him a disservice if I tried to speak like him.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
says, he said what you said. It's BS.
Yes.
It really is. It's about alignment. And that was the first time I heard it said like that. Thank you.
I talk about alignment and harmony, right? So if you think about like harmony in music, there are multiple instruments coming together to make this beautiful harmony, right? So it's not like the individual pieces. And the same thing when people are like, what's your perfect day? Your perfect day doesn't have to be the same thing at the same time every single day. It could be like, well, I know that I want to work out. I know that I want to have dinner with my family. I know I want to do A, B, or C. You get to name that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to happen at the same time every day. You can rotate those pieces.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
But that's the beauty of becoming an entrepreneur, right? You can have more control over that alignment and how you seek it.
Yeah. Right. That is one of the privileges of being an entrepreneur is you're not married to a certain schedule as long as the work gets done. And
by the way, we likely have a lot more work, but I'm okay with that. I really enjoy it because that's where I truly provide value to the people in my organization. Like that's one of the major things. Like this past weekend, we had a goal setting session, and there was so much raw, authentic emotion in the room. Like we had multiple people crying as we were setting goals and talking about our lives in terms of how we wanted to level up. And I would tell you that's one way to break complacency as well, is to surround yourself with the right people.
Goal-oriented people.
Goal-oriented people.
Who know that you got to write it down, and if you work on it.
And by the way, like in that room, when we're sitting in that room setting goals, we have someone who wants to make over $1 million a year, and we had people that were cool making $50,000 a year, but we met everyone at their level to help them get to the next level that they decided they want to get to in their life.
So that Napoleon Hill wrote the book Think and Grow Rich.
Yes.
And it's funny, a story from my life. So I wanted to get Savannah's mother a house so she could live closer to me.
Mm-hmm.
And Crystal and I are great. We have an amazing family. I love her. She's having another baby right now.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
So what started out with me penniless, living in my mom's basement, studying at Babson College, I wrote down out of inspiration from Napoleon Hill's inspiration, be worth $1 million, get Crystal a house. do it in 5 years. I was penniless, and I just lived by that mantra. Like, what do I have to do today differently than what I did yesterday in order to make that dream come true?
How frequently did you write that down?
I did it every day. Every day.
You know what's amazing? I love this. That was a setup. So still to this day, I write down 25 affirmations a day.
Beautiful.
And honestly, for the most part, it's static. Like, it remains the same.
Right.
But then every once in a while, I'll be like, you know what? That phrase is out of alignment. Let's make it this.
Yeah.
But that level of speaking into existence and manifestation is so important. And honestly, it's biblical. In the Bible, manifestation is recognized or referred to 50 plus times.
Right. I'm doing that with what we're trying to do to help share, a voice for the voiceless, right? The kids who are either abandoned, they're alienated, or they're neglected.
Yep.
And I want to cause an awareness about that. So that's what I've been writing down every day lately.
Speaking it into existence.
Amen.
So, like, we're talking about risk and complacency. It was probably a pretty big risk for you to dive back into the boxing scene, right? Like, you're the old dude in the ring. That's a big risk. And you're like, I can see the fire. But truthfully, dude, like, that's a pretty big risk fighting these young studs.
Yeah,
right?
it was. But so when I had that dream come true of being able to live close to Savannah, and I had a couple of coins to scratch together, I kind of felt like an itch, and I wanted to do something that I missed the opportunity to do when I was younger because I was fighting to make my dreams come true.
Yep.
And it's like, I call you're in your last year of eligibility right now, he tells me. So I just got myself in shape and did my best.
Dude, that's the game.
Yeah.
But you weren't complacent. You made the choice.
Oh,
like, you had the idea in your head and you get after it.
Yeah, it was 3 hours, 3.5 hours a day. And I did it for 8 months. I did. I committed my entire soul to it. I even made it was wild. I traveled to different boxing cities. I traveled to Philly, ran the Rocky Steps, traveled to Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn, traveled to Miami to work at where Muhammad Ali used to train at Fifth Street Gym. I flew to Ireland to get in touch with my people,
That's amazing.
And I'll never forget when I got to Ireland. When I first got there, it was early in the morning. And it was brick cold. When I say brick, I'm saying like it's single digits if we're lucky.
Yep.
And it was windy. And I saw a fisherman going out into the sea. And I was like, I felt an admiration for him. Just like he's going out and getting it and making it happen for his family. These elements are not bothering him.
No.
So inspired by that, I went and did a 5-mile run in that horrible weather.
That's amazing.
And that was a great trip.
So what do you think was like the pivotal moment or transformative moment of learning as you went through that? Outside of what you just shared, were there other moments that you were like,
well,
I'm so glad I'm chasing this?
Yeah, well, it was sort of a reality check in that the body couldn't do the things it used to do.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that going into it, I couldn't just do this without a coach. So I always knew Peter Manfredo was the best coach in New England, and in my opinion, through my experience when I was younger. So I hunted him down. I said, Peter, I need your help. And I'll never forget the first time that I sparred at Peter's gym in this journey. This guy, Dustin Reinhall, call him the Silver Fox. He is a stud. What a good fighter. Anyway, he's a professional. He came in, and in the first minute of the first round, he put me right on the canvas. And I remember my friend Brandon DeFaria, God rest his soul. He was with Peter. They were good friends. And Peter looks at Brandon and says, I don't know if he really wants to do this. And it was just one of those things. And then I worked with Dustin, and I kept asking him. We sparred probably 30 or 40 rounds together. Mm-hmm. And I kept asking him, what am I doing wrong? Help me.
Yep.
And he helped me rub off some of that rust and put me in a good spot. And by the time the Golden Gloves came, I was head to head with Dustin, and I was learning, and it was fun, man. That was a good journey.
So think about that process. Think about how many times you failed along the way.
Oh,
right?
A lot.
Kind of back into what we talked about.
Right.
But also you took the risk to get back out there.
Right.
That's the beauty in all of this.
Yeah, in everything. That's only a microcosm of life.
Right.
Go get it, and do the work. Right. You don't just show up. You got to do the work.
And also, like, one of the bigger things you found the right coach. And I think people sleep on that because you don't always have to go out and pay for the coach. Like, if you truly think about this is like one of my big hacks that I feel like is lost on a lot of people. But if we can dial this in and one person is able to leverage this tactic, it's a huge win for today. And it's finding that person online and going a mile deep for 6 months.
Yep.
Right? Figure out who it might be Bobby Branson. I want to go a mile deep on Bobby for the next 6 months because he has these attributes that I would like to earn. I would like to develop these attributes that Bobby has. And I'm going to go a mile deep. I'm going to follow him every day and dive deep on all of his information.
Yeah, and had my heart not been pulled into this passion, more than a project, it's a
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle now for mothers and fathers truly matter. You probably would have gotten a lot more phone calls from me about real estate because that's the next thing that I wanted to do, but I had to do this.
No, but think about this. Even as you dive deep on this, and just from sitting on the board, you have found the leading experts in this field to say, hey, listen, what are you guys doing? How can we make an impact together? And how do we make lives better for children all throughout the world?
Absolutely. And that it's funny that you say that. I have this idea, and the leadership in the shared parenting community is not presently aware of this yet,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm committing to running a half marathon in every state. And when I arrive at said state, I'm going to previously reach out to the leadership in the shared parenting community. And we're looking for stories of success, stories of redemption, stories where two parents started out battling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then family court got to be what it can often be.
Awful.
And and the kids were losing it. And I'm looking for stories of people who really recognize that they can have emotional maturity. They can still put their differences to the side, and they don't have to be together, but they better be there for their kids.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the stories that we're looking for. So if you're listening and you're in Nevada in January, or you're in Oklahoma in February, or you're in South Carolina in March, those are the 3 we've booked so far, and we're looking to hear some really cool stories.
I love it. So you guys heard the man. If you get any great stories of how you came together and showed up for your children, let's hear about it.
Amen. Yeah, and I think people have a good story to share, because it's just the leadership in the shared parenting community. They're approaching this intelligently. They're going to legislators.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to their representatives. I don't personally have the bandwidth for that.
You can change all you want on the legislative front, but it happens culturally within our communities in terms of how we show up every single day. And I think that's lost on so many worldly issues that we're experiencing right now.
I wouldn't be able to have anybody tell me that a dad and a mom shouldn't be in their child's life because of X, Y, and Z.
Right.
I don't have any. We're not here singing kumbaya around the campfire here.
Right.
This is a problem, and I wouldn't be a very good diplomat for this issue, but it's a real problem, and it's got to change. So I'm going to try to lead by example and run one step at a time.
You're already doing it.
Amen, brother. Yeah, ordering the tent, ordering the gonna bring teammates out with me. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna create a lot of memories
and just create the awareness
Yeah.
that's currently lacking. Right. So it's bringing the awareness to really help out these children.
Right. And not sob stories and sad stories. If somebody starts complaining about their debacle of family court, it kind of turns to white noise pretty quickly for any audience listening.
Yeah.
It's like that's starting to hurt. This conversation's not fun anymore. And I'm aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
So my hope is that we can change the narrative to there's a lot of kids out there that aren't getting their due, and we want to help them.
Amen.
That's it. It's funny when I'm with you, I'm like, I think it's partly because of the subject matter too. It's like it's triggering something that's in me that it's hard to control. You know, it's this has to happen, and we can't. It's like slavery or racism or homophobia. These bigotries are indicative of what these kids are contending with. A lot of the times it's against those things were against adults. Mm-hmm. This is against the children. So it's just a matter of time.
And so as we sit back and you're embarking on your journey now, what does success look like for you over the next couple of years?
Success it's certainly not my success. It's success for the kids. If one more child can have access to mom and dad, mm-hmm. and mom and dad are both better equipped to manage that, only one child is successful. Now, if we can inspire parents, moms, dads, society, mm-hmm. and that's why the logo for the Let's Be Better podcast is what it is. Across the world, it's not just a phenomenon unique to Massachusetts or Rhode Island. or even just America.
Mhm.
In the developed world, this is rampant. So one child having a better life is success. My hope would be for far more than that, but even if it's one life, and it needs to be more than that, but one would be success.
One at a time, you got this.
Yeah, we do.
We have this together.
Yeah, we do. We have a responsibility. We have it's almost a spiritual responsibility, a duty to make sure that the generation come behind us is better equipped. And between overprotective parenting in the last 20 years
Yeah.
overly permissive technology use
Sure.
for kids have created this storm of compounding problems. At least let's get parents back into the picture. You know, the prevalence of divorce in families who don't make it have really increased the susceptibility of children, not only to the overprotective parenting, the overly permissive internet management, but also a communication breakdown between two of the child's most important influences, their
Mhm.
mother and their father. That can't be. What are we doing? Like,
Right.
what are we doing?
So if someone's listening to this today, right, and we're talking about risk, and we're talking about how it can have an impact, and there was something that you could leave the listeners with today that they could just go out and they could take action against in terms of creating a positive force aligned with this movement, what do you think it would be?
We all know someone who, maybe we don't all know someone, but within 2 or 3 degrees of our relationships, we know somebody who either isn't being the best father they can be, isn't being the best mother they can be, or isn't supporting the involvement of the other parent. It's inevitable. There are millions of kids contending with all 3 of those conditions: abandonment, alienation, and neglect. If someone is even tangentially involved in your life, have the courage to speak up for that child.
Mhm.
Say something to someone. You might not get to be that culprit's friend anymore. Who cares? Anybody who manages their life abandoning, alienating, or neglecting a child, they have some real deep work they got to do within themselves.
Mhm.
And really, you shouldn't be a bonus in that person's life until they get right.
Yeah.
So that if I would ask for one thing, speak up. Speak up to somebody that you love, that you care for, who's making bad decisions when it comes to their kids, and have the courage to not care what they think about you. Stand on principle, stand on value.
Yeah, because when that person's ready to listen, they know who to come to help them out.
Yeah, and then we all make mistakes. I'm a massive mistake maker.
Here,
Right?
I'm with
Fail,
you.
fail,
I'm with you, man.
fail a lot,
That's
right?
the only way I've been able to learn. Not doing it the right way the first time.
Have grace for those people who are challenging your track record, and not be. And so the people who are either abandoning or alienating or neglecting a child, be patient with somebody coming at you. They're not coming at you with this story from a bad place. It's funny. This reminds me of at Pride Exteriors Corp. We do a lot of roofing and we do a lot of siding, and we're starting to get into windows. And what this is introducing to me and my team is the importance of lead safety.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're at a job site the other day, and we've got a new guy working for us who teaches CSL classes. So he is very, very well apprised with all the lead safety laws. And we're walking through a guy's house, and we're talking about kids, because I always talk about I love kids, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And we
You
got back
have
to
to if you have 6 or 5 of them with one on the way.
yeah, that's correct. So we get back to the office and we're working on the proposal. And he says, we were talking, lead came up. He said, how about, remember that house we were at?
Mhm.
There was lead there, and the guy had said that his child was going to speech therapy.
Mhm.
And it was a very uncomfortable call for me to make. But I picked up the phone and I called him, and I told him that this was something that we observed, and I didn't care what he thought of me or my business. I cared about him and his kids.
Mhm.
If we can all have that courage and challenge those in our lives. And I'm not saying that will I do it again? I don't know. I was afraid to make that call. It was very presumptuous, but it wasn't. And I was coming from a good place.
Mhm.
And that's what this call to action is that I'm sharing with you today. It's not coming from a bad place. It's coming from, we want what's best for these kids. And if there's lead paint, it might be a hard thing for the parent to hear, but don't we have a duty to say it?
Well, I think it comes from, like, you're talking about being courageous and helpful.
Yeah.
Right? Courageous to have that conversation and just be the guiding light.
Yeah, I'm just fortunate. I'm in a position where it's funny. Talk about failure, right? The fact that I'm even able to travel to these places and don't get me wrong, I am not affluent by any stretch. Every
Mhm.
disposable dollar I get goes into this. Actually, this 90 strong thing, saving, it's going to be the first saving that I do is when I do this challenge.
I love it.
Because I've just been burying all my money into making
Yeah.
things right. So where I'm going with that is, had I not failed as a cell phone store owner, I
Mhm.
wouldn't have been leveled living in my mother's basement. I wouldn't have had to. I asked my brother and John Farry, who's on our board, I said, what am I going to do, guys? I'm used to making 10, 15,000 a month. This is hard for me.
Right.
They're like, why don't you go to Babson College, the #1 school for entrepreneurship on the planet? I'm like, really? Because I was like, I don't want, I didn't want to go to get an MBA. I didn't want college
Right.
because I felt like the college experience was not valuable. But had that not happened, I wouldn't have learned so much. And I didn't, these books, I haven't read nearly half of them, but when I was attending school, I treated that journey like a job.
Mhm.
So when the professors would share the required readings and the suggested readings, I consumed it all. So through that, I was able to add a lot more value to my then boss, now partner at Pride Exteriors, because I was able to learn how to have better vision and have how to listen better and how to be more of a glue for my teammates and my customers. And that allowed us to really be successful at roofing and siding.
Absolutely.
And if that didn't happen, then this couldn't happen. So through failure, I have the privilege of traveling around the country, running half marathons. As long as the body will keep up, I know that boxing experience tells me it might or might not happen, but I'm going to have faith and I'm going to be aware of my habits and I'm going to go for it. And it's funny, that's full circle failure, right?
That's it. That's all it takes. Like, at some point you're going to fail, and it's how you're going to pick yourself back up after that to continue going.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. Some of the biggest mistakes I've ever made. I mean, with Let's Be Better 828, the handle for all our social media, it's 828 because of Romans 828.
You know what's wild? Do you know what day I'm born on?
August 28th.
100%.
No way.
100%. You had no idea as you were dropping that. I'm like, he doesn't know.
Wow.
Literally born on August 28th.
And we know that all things work together for good, for them who love God, for them who are called according to his purpose. That's a great. So that's funny.
The synchronicity of all of this.
August 28th. That's your birthday.
This is amazing because there's a story of RFK. And I didn't know this for a long time. RFK was actually a heroin addict from the time he was 14 till he was 28. And he was checking himself into rehab. It was an inpatient rehab. And he saw this book by Carl Jung on the table and talked about synchronicity. And I have the book at home and I've read half of it. I haven't read the whole thing, truthfully. And Carl Jung is a famous psychologist. And even as a psychologist, he's arrived at this ideology of synchronicity being when God pierces the veil between heaven and earth to show us that he's real. And how real was it just then?
That was pretty awesome. Yeah. Feels like synchronicity is onto something here.
Absolutely. Always.
Yeah, I know it is. It's kind of a, like, to be the spec that's involved with it is such a humbling experience.
Oh man, what a blessing to receive God's grace like that, to say, hey, listen, you're in the right place right now. I'm showing you that I'm real and I need you to keep going along the path because there's some type of fruit that I need you to bring into this world. And that's why I put this idea in your head for you to lead these adults to help these children.
It's a heavy load, but I'll carry that cross. What are you going to do? You got one life.
Keep going. Keep going and have as great of an impact as possible to leave our mark on this world.
I hope so. I know so.
And hopefully it echoes in eternity. And Marcus Aurelius has that great quote, right?
Yeah.
About what we do in this life echoes in eternity.
Right.
That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and all this, any of these pennies I could have otherwise put in my bank account, I don't get to take them with me.
It's not real. It's not real.
It's really not real. It's kind of crazy how not real.
That's an entirely different podcast.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's true. Jimmy, about complacency. Before we wrap up, I'd love to ask you a question. If you were to give one piece of advice to folks who are contending with complacency and how to block it from, like, forbid it, prohibit it from entering their world so they can live the best life they possibly can, to live with vitality, what advice would you give somebody when that bugger starts creeping in on them?
Yeah, I think you get first, think about who you love the most. Those are the people who you probably want to make the proudest of on your journey. Could be your children, could be your spouse, could be your parents, could be a great friend. And in those moments of complacency, when you have the choice to proceed with taking the action or proceed with doing nothing, think about what those people you want to make proud, think about how they would feel if you chose to be complacent. Think about how they would feel if you chose to take the action. Right? So if you think about when you're in that moment and you have that choice to make the decision, those people who you want to make proud, which way would they like to see you go?
Right.
It makes the decision that much easier.
Yeah, it doesn't even make a decision anymore.
Right? You're like, no, I got this.
I got this. I gotta do what I need to do.
Yeah.
Right. That's great advice. Well, Jim, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, bro. I appreciate you.
Let's get one.
Growth starts inside, in what we think, what we say, and what we do. Our habits form our character, and our character shapes our destiny. Becoming better means choosing grace over guilt, discipline over comfort, and purpose over distraction. Let's live with a commitment to self-improvement.